Good morning, class. Welcome to yet another YouTube session. So, today we have decided to take up the poem named Schoolboy. Okay, it's a lovely poem. It's a lovely poem written by the poet William Black. Okay, so there is this brief preface. It's about a schoolboy who kind of had this bittersweet moment when he visits school. We are going to decode and understand the poem in depth. So, without any further delay, let's begin reading the poem. But first up, I would read the preface and introduce to you what the poem is going to be about. Okay. So the name of the poem is The Schoolboy and it is written by William Black. Okay. So let's begin reading the poem called The Schoolboy. First up, let's get you an introduction to the poem by reading the preface. Here we go. Okay, just a second. Yeah. The Schoolboy, written by whom? William Black. Okay. So, this lovely poem, like I said, is about a school-going children and his woes, his concern and his worries. Okay. The schoolboy in the poem is not a happy child. What makes him unhappy? Why does he compare himself to a bird that lives in a cage or a plant that withers when it should blossom? Okay, wither means definitely to lose its life and to die slowly. Okay, see, when flower blooms freshly, it looks quite lively, full of life, isn't it? On the other hand, when it passes few days, let's say a day or two, it starts fading away slowly, and that is what is called withering. Okay, so here in this poem as well, what happens? The schoolboy basically is a happy child, but he does not like attending school as he compares himself to a bird that lives in a cage on attending school and all. Okay, so let's read and find out what it is about. Okay, so I take up the first stanza. I love to rise in a summer morn. Morn is a poetic languages. Morn basically means morning. Okay, morn refers to morning. I bet everyone knows this. It's very simple. I believe everyone knows this rather. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn, and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what a sweet company! So basically, when the child wakes up in the morning, he's attracted by plenty of things, ranging from beautiful birds singing. He is given example of skylark. Skylark is a sweet singing bird. Okay, and then a distant huntsman who winds his horn, basically produces some sort of sound using his horn. Okay, and he refers to all these things as a sweet company. So he wakes up in the morning with a fresh mood, listening to birds singing and all those natural things that attracts and makes him feel wonderful about a lovely summer morning. But then there'll be something that will play a spoil sport. Let's read second stanza now. But to go to school in summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outward, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. But then he says attending school may not be as joyous as waking up early in a summer morning. He says that it is something that derives all the happiness out of you when you have to attend a place like school and a lovely summer morning. Summer is like some sort of festival in countries like England, even in America. Okay, so some parts of America to be precise. So going to school on a summer morning, according to him, is a spoil sport because it drives away all the joy out of him. And he says, he does not like to be outworn. He does not like getting tired and spending all his day by being at school under supervision of facilitators or teachers. It's kind of drives away all his spirit. He tends to enjoy himself out and connects or feels more connected with the nature whenever he is out. Okay, let's read the third stanza now. Then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning bower, worn through with the dreary shower. Okay, he says, the idea of attending school on a summer morning, like you can see in a picture, is some sort of a dreadful thought for him. He does not like it at all, as clearly evident. Okay, and the same thing is being described in a thought-provoking fashion in third paragraph, wherein he says, he cannot take any further delight in attending school. Alright, delight refers to happiness. He does not feel any sort of comfort in even opening and reading book during summer season, early morning or summer season, because he wants to go out, enjoy and play. He says, how can a bird, turning on to fourth stanza, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? So he compares himself to a bird who loves singing by flying from one tree to another, one place to another, cannot simply be caged and asked to sing all the day. It will die there in the cage. So the poet here compares himself to a bird who cannot live to its fullest if it is caged. So basically, going to an institutionalized, establishment is some sort of staying or spending his time in cage for him. He draws parallel between himself and the bird, wherein he feels like he's a bird who is somehow getting caged, having to spend wonderful summer morning in a school. Okay. He says, how can a child when fears annoy but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? He does not want to, give away this wonderful summer season by simply, like I said, sitting in an institutionalized establishment. He wants to enjoy his he wants to enjoy his childhood by running and playing and doing all those sort of activity. But in school, his activities are limited, and that is what is making or causing all the trouble, like it is written here. Okay, moving on. So finally, the poet has some sort of appeal for parents as well. What does he say? O father and mother, if birds are nipped and blossom blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day, by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summer rise in joy or the summer fruits appear? So it's a wonderful meaning. He says, in the time when a child is supposed to fully enjoy his childhood, should he simply be spending hours and hours in school without having to play or spend his days where he is supposed to enjoy and interact with nature? He raises serious concern or question at parents by telling that the child's natural progression or growth is somehow hindered when you keep them caged in a formally institutionalized environment for such a long time. Okay, so overall it's a lovely poem. You can say it's a thought-provoking poem is what I would like to say, wherein the poet keeps his opinion in front of us by expressing unwillingness to be, I repeat those words again, in an institutionalized environment in a season as lovely as summer morning or summer or spring. Okay, he wants to enjoy that those times rather sitting in a place and keep listening to lectures or whatever you like to call it. So all in all, it's some sort of provoking poem, you can say, and it will invoke a lot of debate, of course. So overall, the message was wonderful. Of course, everyone has their due share, their due right to entitle their opinion, and the poet has simply done a brilliant job by doing it in the form of a lovely, lovely poetic expression by using choicest words. Okay. So class, go through this poem, try and make some sort of summary. If you are unable, we can of course discuss them again. Okay. So this that was the conclusion of William Black. There are some important words that we have learned. See, contracted word nipped. To nip something in the bird is to stop or destroy it in an early stage of its development. Stripped, to take away a right from something or someone. Okay, to keep someone deprived of something. Plants stripped of joy. If joy is taken away from plants, how will they be? Of course, sad, isn't it? So he also compares himself with plants. Okay. So there are some questions. Let's just analyze them. Rather, we can discuss them. Let's see what do we have here. Working with the poem. Find 3 or 4 words / phrases in stanza 1 that reflects the child's happiness and joy. So which words reflect the child's happiness and joy? There are plenty in stanza 1, isn't it? He says he loves to rise in a summer morn. Birds sing on every tree. Distant huntsman winds his horn. Skylark singing, and he says, "So what a sweet company." So all these lines, basically, a few words, okay, are expressive of the happiness of child in the poem. Moving on. Question number 2, stanza 2, the mood changes. Which word or phrase reflects changed mood? So let's find out. Here we are. But to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away under a cruel eye outworn. See here, this words, isn't it? So class, these are rather easy. I believe you can do them on your own. Is it? 3. A cruel eye outworn. Stanza 2 refers to the classroom which is shabby or noisy, the lessons which are difficult in understanding, the dull, uninspiring life at school with lots of work and no play. So that is a choice for you to make. Moving on to question number 4. No certain learning's bower worn through with the dreary shower. Which one of the following phrases following is a close paraphrase of the lines above? So class, this also is something you can do on your own. Now let's read the following poem and compare it with the schoolboy. How does it equate with schoolboy? Let's find out. Okay. The one furrow. When I was young, I went to school with pencil and foot rule, sponge and slate, and sat on a tall stool. A learning's gate. Learning's gate refers to school again. When I was older, the gate swung wide, clever and keen-eyed, in eye pressed, but found in the mind's pride no peace, no rest. Then who was it? Who was it taught me to beg, to go, to cattle and barrow, fill and plough, to keep the one furrow as I do now? Written by R.S. Thomas. Quite a few similarities there. Find them and understand them rather. Okay. So what do we have here in this tiny green box? The other way around. Quicksand walks slowly. There is no egg in eggplant, no ham in hamburger, and neither apple, no pine in pineapple. That's lovely, riddlish. Boxing rings are square. There are noses that run and feet that smell. Wonderful, isn't it? These also are something that work the other way around. Okay. They are something, but typically different words are used to describe them. So class, this I believe is the conclusion of a lovely poem called Schoolboy. Try reading and enjoying this poem once again. It's about a lovely schoolboy who shares his thoughts and expresses his voice on how does he like to especially spend his summer morning. Okay, and then there are some question answers as we move on. We also learned some important glossary words, and then some exercises were discussed. Okay, and then there was another poem which drew parallel with the one we just read by William Black. Okay, so with this we come to conclusion of today's lesson. It was wonderful to have conducted this session. If you have liked this work, share it with your friends so that they as well get to benefit from the lesson or the lecture, as pandemic has forced many students to stay indoors. Okay, so let's conclude today's class. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a wonderful time. Bye bye. Thank you all.